waifus, trade fights for better views. We both need something new. Maybe we should just tell them.
Hello, hive-minded readers, and welcome to the Books and the Bees podcast. Just like bees play a crucial role in pollinating flowers and sustaining life, books pollinate minds and nurture the soul. We see the connection between the two, the delicate dance of ideas, and the stories that enrich our lives.
I'm Cody.
I'm Hailey.
Welcome to our podcast. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Woo woo.
Bam, wow, wow, wow. Episode
We're out here.
25, I think.
25.
I'm like looking at my screen to figure out if it is. It is episode 25. Okay. My notes were like hiding. Yeah, sweet. Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
25.
I know. We're like halfway. Almost halfway?
Yeah,
Are we halfway officially?
52. Next episode I think is halfway.
Okay.
Something like that.
Dang. Still.
That's crazy.
Halfway through the year.
Halfway through the year. It's July when you're listening to this. 2 days after Pride Month has ended.
Yep.
Yeah. 4th of July is coming up. The country is falling apart, but we're not going to get into that because this is not a political podcast. But
Yep. We are out in the streets. Yes.
Yeah. We might, who knows, maybe we'll form a new government and it'll be book related.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
It'd be a change from what we have now, that's for sure.
Yeah, it'd probably be better, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I do have a little bit of a statement, I guess, because we talked about the Idaho book ban bill, right? A few episodes ago. And there's now been some repercussions involved because the short story is that the book ban forces libraries to separate out children's from adults, like having a completely different section. And if kids under 18 check out material that's sexually explicit, which is determined by the bill, not by the parental guardians, the library can be fined. And so now in rural Idaho, there are libraries that are restricting their libraries to only let in individuals who are over 18 or under 18 with a guardian. So no longer can kids in Idaho under 18 go into a library because the libraries are afraid they're going to get fined and have to shut down because they can't afford the fines and all the stuff that goes with it. And so not fun.
That's terrible. That's so terrible.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, so like a 16-year-old who like can drive and doesn't need parental guardianship.
Right.
Can't even go into their own freaking library.
Right. And couldn't
That's
even
crazy.
like if they wanted to read Throne of Glass, I think they would like potentially have a problem with it because it could be considered sexually explicit. So it's like it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy.
I hope we see a surge in the like neighborhood libraries.
Oh yes.
I hope,
yeah. I
hope
love those.
that we see and I hope that teenagers are borrowing books from each other, and I hope that they're being rebellious as teenagers tend to be.
Absolutely.
So that's the only way that we get to fight shit like that is just by being rebellious, in the little ways.
As Stephen King once said, go read the books that they're telling you not to read. That's not the exact quote, but something like that.
Paraphrasing.
And I totally get it. Like that is absolutely what you should be doing.
Yep.
Well, in lighter news, today's episode is going to be talking about all of the most anticipated books for the rest of 2024, which we have some really great ones lined up that we're both excited about. I did actually go through and see our second episode was the best of the first half of 2024, and we actually read almost all of them between the two of us. I think there was 2 that neither of us read. One of them was the Crescent City 3, which makes sense because neither of us have finished the series.
Yeah.
So totally get that. And then I forget what the other one was, but we did pretty good. Like we knocked it out of the park as far as hitting our anticipated books. So
let's go.
Yeah, we're killing it.
Well, shit, here's the rest of the year and being able to do that. Hopefully come, I don't know, December or whatever. we're able to be like, yes, we read all of these books.
We did it.
We're close. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, speaking of what we're reading, Hailey, do you want to say what you're reading?
Yeah. So I am reading an arc. I guess I'll talk about the arc that I'm currently reading. Because it is so good. And thank you to, as always, NetGalley for allowing me to read this book. It is called Perfectly Wicked by Lindsay Lovise. I really hope that I'm pronouncing the author's name correctly. I'm not totally done with it, but I'm darn near. Which is, you know, I've been in like the worst, I don't know what the hell is going on with me, but I've been in the worst reading slump lately, and like I've been able to read like a book here and there, but not nearly to the extent that I was reading previously, and it's really starting to irritate me. I'm trying to get like, you know, my goal met for my Goodreads challenge. I want to read 101 books in this year, and I am so far behind. So, but it is what it is. And kind of going with theme of this episode, I guess, this book will be published on September 17th of 2024. That's a tentative date. I would need to go back into my NetGalley and double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's September 17th, 2024. Again, it's Perfectly Wicked by Lindsay Lovise, or Lovise, I don't know. But it's about a witch, or well, it's like a family of witches, and they're all women, and they own an apple farm that is in like dire straits. And
classic.
Yeah, right. And I think honestly that this book will be a perfect cozy like fall read. But so the apple farm is in dire straits. They're trying to keep their witches under wraps, and a ghost hunting film crew comes into town, and the main character and her family are kind of faced with, do we lose the apple farm, or do we potentially get discovered as witches, which is really cool. It's a fun premise. It gives very much like, I don't know if anyone ever watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch growing up, but it's giving very much Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It's giving very much Zelda and Hilda aunts that are witches that are kind of watching their like adopted like family member kind of navigate her witchery. And it's also giving oh my gosh, my brain just went blank. It's giving oh my god, what is the damn movie that we've all seen it? It has
I know what you're talking about. Hocus Pocus?
No, not Hocus Pocus. It has the Witch Sisters, and they oh my god, what is it called?
Was it the sisters from that Disney show?
No, it's a non-Disney.
It's a non-Disney, okay.
Movie. It's older. It's like 90s. Everyone loves it. It's a cult classic. Well, I think it's a cult classic. I'm gonna look it up because it's gonna bother me.
Yeah, I'm not sure I know. I'm sure once you say it, I'll know. But
there was rumors, like literally just rumors about there being a second one.
A second one.
Not Charmed. It has oh my god. Hold on.
There's a TV show?
No, it was a movie. Practical Magic. Oh my god.
Oh, I don't know this, actually.
You've never watched Practical Magic?
I've never even heard of it.
What? Okay. Well, homework for Cody.
Yeah, we're going to have to pause the podcast right now while I watch this. Hold on, let me look it up. Let me see what it looks like.
Go to your whatever you have as a streaming service that it's on. It has
it's got Sandra Bullock in it? What the heck?
Nicole Kidman. Yeah, it's so good.
I've never seen this in my life.
Oh my gosh, you have to watch it.
Dang. Okay, good to know. I'm gonna watch it.
But anyways, for our listeners, if you've seen Practical Magic, this book very much reminds me of like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Practical Magic, that sort of thing. I really enjoy it. I've really enjoyed it, I guess I should say. And yeah, it's got some romance in it. So far, it's been mostly on page, but not. I'd put it at like a 4 out of 5. So maybe for some people it'd be a 5 out of 5. Nothing too crazy though. But it's really good, and it's very well written.
Sweet. It sounds really, really good. I love books like that. There's actually an author in my thing today that I'm going to talk about who has a book that's similar to that. And so maybe I'll mention it when we get to it. But yeah, that sounds really like a perfect fall read. Like, as you know, I love fall-based books. And so when that book comes out, it'll be the perfect time to read that for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great fall read.
Cuckoo. Love it.
Yeah. What are you reading?
Well, so I did want to mention that I started the Z Word last week, and I was just barely into it, but I finished it between recording, and I really, really loved it. So it's the Z Word by Lindsay King Miller. This is a queer zombie book. So it's all the characters are queer, part of the LGBTQ community, and basically a zombie outbreak takes flight during a pride party in this kind of small Arizona town. And it's a pretty quick read, but it's super action-packed, very fun, very funny, representative of the LGBTQ community for sure. Even though it's after Pride, we should be reading Pride books year-round, so this is a great book to read. And if you love zombie books like I do, it's just really, really good. There is a little bit of sex. There is sex on the page. I'd probably give it like a 3 out of 5. It's not very. I wouldn't call it like a romance book by any means. It's definitely like a horror zombie book, but there is some on the page action, and it's just really fun. Just a really good book. So I highly recommend checking that out. And then the other book that I've been working on is called The Stardust Grail by Yume Kitasei. And our faithful listeners might remember the very first episode. I was reading The Deep Sky by Yume Kitasei, and I really loved it. And so I've been anticipating the sequel, or it's not a sequel, but her second book, since I read The Deep Sky. And this book is not disappointing at all. Absolutely love it. It's about this girl named Maya, who is kind of like a thief of alien artifacts. So there's been 2 other alien species identified in this world, and there's kind of some intermingling happening between the 3 different species. And Maya is sort of this academic researcher who's kind of morally gray, but trying to protect the other species by returning their artifacts, sometimes through illegal measurements or through illegal measures. And so, she's very much pro giving back artifacts that were stolen, things like that. And she gets called in to do one last job to save one of the alien species to allow them to be able to procreate, but there's something else that happens that I won't get into. That basically makes it really hard and can potentially put the human race at risk. So it is a very fun read, super fast paced as well, very much academic. She's a grad student, and so she really gives it what it's like to be a grad student, and someone who just finished grad school, I can totally relate to it. So I'm always driven to those types of books. But yeah, it's just, I think I just have to say that Yume Kitasei is like one of my authors that I just have to automatically put her books on hold when they come out, because they're going to be good. They're going to be good. Yeah.
They'll sound like really good books, both of them.
Yeah. I think the Stardust Grail would have been on the 2024 first half if I didn't know and it was out at the time. But I didn't realize she was publishing another book so quickly, so I didn't mention it. But yeah, it's really, really good. I would totally recommend it to the sci-fi fans out there.
Yeah, it seems like that's been a fairly common theme for this year. It seems like a lot of authors are really pushing out multiple books in the same year.
Yeah, I hope it's not pressure from publishers. I hope it's like interest in like authors being excited to publish, not publishers like forcing authors to push more. Because, you know, we want our authors to, I want my authors to publish a lot, but I also want them to be happy and to have lives. Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah, I agree. They probably worked so hard to get multiple books that I can't even imagine. So
even Stephen King does like one book a year, you know, and he's got 100,000 books out. So
he has so many books. It's crazy.
He's got another one coming out in September. Like, I'm not talking about it because he's Stephen King. We don't need to upplay Stephen King's books, but like he's got another one coming out this year. That
just every time. I know I talk about it a lot, but it reminds me of John Grisham. Oh, every year.
So true.
Puts out a new book. And it's
so true.
Like, I mean, I get that's probably, you know, they're full-time authors, and so they have the time to write and that sort of thing, but I can't imagine being that imaginative.
No.
To come up with a new book every year.
Yeah, for like 50 years. I mean,
that's just for a long time.
It's just crazy. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to jump straight into it because we each have 5 books that we want to recommend to you that come out between now and the rest of the year. So we've picked out ones that we think you're going to enjoy and ones that we know we're going to enjoy that come out in the rest of 2024. So, Hailey, do you want to start with your first book?
Yeah. I will start with so the first one that will be releasing July 16th, so this month, which I'm very excited for. I requested an ARC for it. I don't know if I'll actually get it or not. I feel like it's kind of like time's a dwindling, but it's The Au Pair Affair by Tessa Bailey. It's the second book. I'd say it's a sequel to the Fangirl Down book that I read and talked about quite a few episodes ago. But I'm very excited for this book. I cannot wait because it, at the end of Fangirl Down, this book, The Au Pair Affair, there was, you know, an excerpt from that book. And so it's kind of teased a little bit about like what it's going to be like. And I'm so excited. So basically the main characters are Tallulah and Burgess. I hope that I'm saying that name right. Tallulah is the female main character and Burgess is this male main character. It's another sports romance. It's a hockey romance, so we get more hockey. I know that that's been a fairly popular sports romance book theme lately. Basically, single dad meets down on her luck, also single marine biologist in the making, and hires her as his new nanny. There's some boundaries that are apparently made and then that potentially get crossed, maybe. When I was reading the what's the word? Not the synopsis, but the description. That's what I was looking for. The description of this book. It was very much giving like The Nanny. Like, I don't know if anyone's watched the series The Nanny, but it's one of my favorite series. And it's very much giving like The Nanny, but minus the like British male main character. Again, it's the second book in the Big Shot series. So I would say definitely read Fangirl Down first because there is mention of Tallulah throughout the Fangirl Down book. So maybe read that one first and then read this book if you want. You know, whatever. Yeah. I know I will. So and it's got 3.97 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. So apparently people are probably loving it. I'm assuming with 3.97 stars. There was quite a few, but she's a fairly popular author, so there's always tons of reviews. And yeah, it's 384 pages, so nothing too crazy, not a huge book. At least I don't think that's a huge book. And yeah, I think it's gonna be good, and I'm hoping that it's better than the first, because I really like the premise of, like, I don't know, what's the word, like, I'm so sorry to our listeners, my brain is so fried. I think I have a cold today, like, or I'm starting to get sick. I don't know, but I woke up with like a sore throat and my head. I've had a headache since Wednesday of last week. So
no.
And for our listeners, we're recording on Tuesday, so it's almost been a week of a headache.
Yeah, that's not good.
My brain's kind of mush. But with that being said, yeah, it's I'm really excited about this book.
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny that you mentioned the nanny, because that's like something that pulls me in anytime. Anything that's related to like the nanny plot line, where you know, a girl who's, you know, I don't know, who changes the life of some rich dude that brings him down to earth. I really like. So kind of like Pretty Woman too, you know, kind of that same kind of vibe. I really like that kind of trope. So I'm super into that.
Yeah. And I'm just, and again, it's release date is July 16th. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What is your first book, Cody?
Yeah, so my first book also comes out on July 16th. And it also is 384 pages. Is that how long you said the disability was?
Yeah, that's crazy.
When you said it, I was like, whoa, this is very eerie.
The parallels.
This is I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones, which is unsurprising. I think the listeners probably know that I love his work, and his books are an automatic purchase for me. And he came out with a book earlier this year that was the end of a trilogy, and this book is a standalone that I'm just really excited for, because I love it when Stephen Graham Jones really kind of leans into his kind of nerdiness about slasher films. He's a huge like slasher film. He even like teaches classes on slasher films, I think, in Colorado. Like, he's very much into them. And this one is a book that's from the perspective of the killer who's doing the slashing. And basically the summary is saying that there's a young kid in Texas, in the small town in Texas, and he's been cursed to kill for revenge. And so the whole book is basically him being forced to become a slasher, and from his perspective. And so it sounds really, really interesting. And Stephen Graham Jones, he's just one of those authors that can suck you in and make you enjoy a book the second you start it. His writing is so witty and just very, very well done. And it has a 4.31 rating on Goodreads right now.
Oh, wow.
And he's a really popular author, so I'm not surprised to see that rating. And there's quite a few. There's 264 ratings, and it comes out, like I said, on the 16th, so it hasn't officially come out yet. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. I wanted the ARC for this book, but they denied it for me. So, you know, sorry I didn't get to read it before, but I will be starting this book on July 16th because I know I'm going to like it. So, so stay tuned for a couple weeks. And yeah, it's going to be great. And I love summer. I was thinking about it earlier today. Summer is a really good time to read horror books because summer is scary. It's hot. A lot of people go camping. You know, it's a good time to read some horror. Yeah,
it is. That sounds like a fantastic book.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hailey, what is your second book?
Yeah, so my second book, I'm debating if I should read chronologically and how in the release dates.
I think I'm going to try to do that. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to do that.
I'll read chronologically then. So my next book, let me just make sure. Okay, yeah. So my next book that I'm pretty excited about. I've never heard of this author before. I've never heard of their books before. But I found it on one of the like Goodreads, like 2024 new releases lists or whatever. And it's called Immortal Dark by Tigest. Girma. I am so sorry to the author if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm so sorry. But if anyone wants to correct me, or if the author, maybe, I don't know if you stumble upon this and you hear me pronounce your name wrong, feel free to correct me. But the book is called Immortal Dark. The cover is really cool. Its release date is September 3rd, and it's a dark academia romance. It's got 4.26 stars on Goodreads. So
Wow.
it's, I was like, wow, that is up there. So, which I feel like it's really hard. It's kind of a tangent, but I feel like it's really hard on Goodreads for most authors. You won't see them with above a 3-star rating. It's just like most of the time you'll see them with like high 3 or maybe a low 4, but 3.26 stars. That's quite a bit on Goodreads. Because I know sometimes people cannot be very nice on Goodreads with their reviews. So, but it's a vampire romance. I'm so excited. I have quite a bit of vampire romances that I need to get through on my TBR currently, but I'm adding another one to the list. The description is kind of so it's a lost heiress, Kaiden. I want to think that it's probably Kaiden is the main character's name. So the heiress must infiltrate an arcane society and live with a vampire she suspects killed her family and kidnapped her sister. There's a university academic aspect to it. Maybe some like potential enemies to lovers. I'm not sure. I don't want to be too spoilery, and I don't really want to read directly from the description of the book, but it looks really good. I'm excited to read it.
That sounds fun. That sounds really fun. Yeah. And you said that's a new author for you? You haven't read anything by them before?
Yeah. I haven't seen them before either. But and like I said, the book itself looks really cool. So definitely check it out if you're interested, or if a paranormal, vampire, dark academia romance type of book is up your alley. So
yeah. Well, I do love a good vampire book. So yeah, definitely go check it out. Sweet. Yeah.
What's your next book?
Well, my next book is also by an author that I haven't read before. I think I've heard of her. Her name's Helen Philips. I think I've heard of her before, but I haven't read anything by her. And the book is called Hum. So it's Hum by Helen Philips. Comes out August 6, 2024. And it is basically dealing with what is the world going to be like when people get fired because AI replaces your job, which I think is a very topical thing that everyone's worried about with the advancement of AI. And so it falls around a character named May who loses her job to an AI, and she decides to take her family to a botanical gardens where basically a bunch of shit breaks down and a lot more stuff happens than what she was expecting to. And it sounds really, really fun. Very much sci-fi dystopian, very quick novel. It's only 272 pages. I haven't read it, but it seems like a very quick short story or short novel. And it has a 4.0 rating on Goodreads. So also very promising. The cover is just really abstract and pretty. It's just a bunch of these like green ovals with an eye in one of them. It's just very, very pretty looking. And so I think it's going to be a really good sci-fi book and something that's going to make a lot of people think, which is always fun with books like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It sounds really interesting. Kind of a new concept too to think about with AI. That's interesting. AI has definitely like opened up the sci-fi space. There's been a couple short story collections. I think one of them I talked about this on the podcast that are talking about AI, and it's definitely becoming a fear for people, justifiably. Like AI is definitely changing the world. So it's fun to see how people take it in the fiction space. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And when did you say that book's coming out?
August 6th.
Okay.
It's coming up. Yeah, a month away. Month away. Yeah. What is your next book, Hailey?
So my next book is another vampire book.
Let's go.
Did not mean to do that 2 in a row, but oh well. It is called Fang Fiction by Kate Stayman-London, and its release date is October 1st. Another...
I love that title. That's such a cool title.
I know. I and it's one that I requested as an ARC and I got denied, but I still really want to read it because it just sounds really good. And I loved the cover art's really cool too. So, but it has an average rating on Goodreads of 3.85, and it's a vampire novel enthusiast Tess ends up meeting a real-life vampire. There's apparently a blood feud going on in, like, the vampire world that is adjacent to this character's real world.
Oh.
And in meeting this real-life vampire that she is so, like, someone who's a vampire novel enthusiast meeting a real life vampire, she has to help this sexy vampire, and apparently it's a rom-com sort of situation type book. It's fantasy, got vampires. What more could you want?
What more could you want?
Yeah, I mean, when I was reading the synopsis initially, months ago now, but when I initially requested the book, I was like, wow, this sounds like it has the potential to be such a good read. And so potentially like a really light read, especially if it's a romantic comedy type of situation. But yeah, I'm really excited to read it. I'm excited to put it on my TBR, and I'm excited for it to come out. I can't wait to sink my teeth into it.
Oh, hey-o, let's go.
My
joke.
apologies to our listeners for my horrible dad joke. But I couldn't resist.
Good. I love it. I love a good dad joke, so can't complain.
I wrote it in the show notes, and I was like, I'm gonna say it.
Was it in the description of the book, or
no?
You just came
I don't
up,
think
you
so.
Just came up with it. Okay.
So.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Do you think Twilight has like pushed vampires into a more popular space? I know Twilight's kind of old now, but I just would not imagine vampire novels being the way they are today if it wasn't for Twilight.
Yeah, the amount of feral that I was as a teenager reading the Twilight books was up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My initial love for vampires originated with an Interview with a Vampire, and which is a book, but I watched the movie first, and I was like 4 years. I shouldn't have been watching this movie at all, but it was on like, we were at a hotel, and it was like on the like late night whatever showings.
That's how I watched oh god, Silence of the Lambs for the first time.
Oh god,
I was also too young to watch that.
Well, they just would like if you're staying up late, you're in a hotel, you're a kid, what else is there to do? This was like the early 2000s, like late 90s,
Yeah,
I think it must have been the late 90s if I was 4 years old. Anyways, and that kind of initiated my love for vampires and interest in vampires, and then it kind of just like went from there. And then when Twilight came out, I know it was such a popular series, but I definitely think that it's kind of opened the floodgates for a lot of like vampire type, or at least the popularization. I'm sure there probably was hella vampire type books out there, but yeah, it definitely normalized and popularized it for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That actually sounds really fun. I think I might read that too. And I love the kind of funny romance books that are like that. I think those are really good. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I think that'll be a good book.
Yeah, definitely. All right, what's your next book?
Well, funny you should mention that, because my next book is a vampire fiction book, which we did not plan this. I want everyone to know we did not plan this. We did not look at our lists and compare notes, but Rachel Harrison, who is one of my favorite authors, I always buy her books right when they come out. She has released or is releasing a book called So Thirsty. So that's So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. Comes out September 10th of this year. And it's about a woman who is in a relationship. She's married, and her husband is cheating on her, and she knows it, but he doesn't know that she knows. But she ends up getting a surprise trip with her best friend, her girl best friend. And they go, and the best friend of the main character is trying to make her feel better and cheer her up. And they end up going into a situation where they interact with a vampire in some fashion and consequences result from that. And so it's very much like a female friendship story, getting to be a part of yourself and, taking independence from a shitty relationship story, which Rachel Harrison is really good at. A lot of her books kind of have that theme to them, especially the one I was thinking of earlier today was Cackle, which is similar to the first book that you mentioned, Hailey, which is about a girl who's a witch, and she turned 30, ended up moving to a small town, and is kind of re-identifying herself, and she ends up making a friendship with an older witch, and it's a really good book too. So all of her books kind of have that theme to them, and I just really like them. The cover of this book is beautiful. The artwork is just amazing. It's this really pretty chalice with blood dripping down it, with a little bat, kind of a cocktail straw, and so it's just really, really fun. And so I can't wait to read it, and it'll be really, really good. I can just tell.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I will be putting that on my TBR for sure.
I think you would like her books for sure.
Yeah, I'll have to check her out.
Yeah, she's really good. She's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, Hailey, what is your next book?
So my next book is... Well, it's one of my long-awaited, and I'm very excited for this book to come out. As I've mentioned in the last few episodes, I've been reading the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lyla Sage, and this is the third book, I believe. Yeah, third book in the series, and it's called Lost and Lassoed. It's another arc that I'm like, please pick me. I want to read this early so bad. I love Lyla Sage's books. It's a fairly new author, and a fairly recent find, but I'm really glad that I found her because, oh my gosh, incredible writing, incredible storyline. They are, I wouldn't call them standalones. I would definitely read the first two prior to reading this book, because you would probably be spoiled for sure, because it's each book is following the family, the siblings, and their love romance stories. So they're kind of like intertwined and talk about each other throughout the books. So it would be, definitely spoilers if you didn't read the first two. So go out and buy the first two, which are Done and Dusted and Swift and Saddled. But the release date for Lost and Lassoed is November 5th. So it's got a little while to wait anyways. But it's, and I don't want to give too many spoilers, but the main characters are Teddy and Gus. Teddy is short for Theodora, and Gus is short for Augustus, or August. Yes, August.
Aww,
excuse me.
cute.
So yeah, really cute names. I really love the naming conventions that the author uses for me. They're very they're such unique, but also kind of westerny, old school names. I love them. But throughout the books, these two characters are kind of constantly fighting and bickering with each other. Yeah, so it's definitely gonna be an enemies to lovers type situation. I can already tell. And Gus is a single dad, so you have that element in there.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm very excited to read this book. Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, I think we've talked about it before multiple times, but I love it when you have a series and they kind of rotate through different characters. I think that's really fun. And so, I'm already super excited to read the first two because we've talked about them so much, but this one sounds really good. This sounds really, really good. Yeah.
I also really love when they do that with books. I feel like it almost makes them more bingeable when they do that, because you're oh, I want to find out what's happening with the other person or sibling or whatever in the storyline, and then you just kind of
yeah. And then you get to reintroduce yourselves to the characters from the previous books because they're still around. Yeah, I like it a lot too. Yeah. That's what the the Time I Got Drunk series. That's not what the series is called, but each book starts with
Oh,
the
yeah.
time I got drunk. Each one of those is like rotating between a few characters in the same town, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I just realized that I didn't look up the Goodreads ratings, but this one has a 4.42 stars, so pretty good.
Dang.
Yeah, pretty good ratings.
That's a good
Just saying.
rating. I wonder what the
That is a
top
good
rated
rating.
book on Goodreads is.
I know.
It'd
I'm
probably be
wondering that
hard to
too.
find.
Probably, and I'm sure it's very hard to come by because, like I said, people
Yeah.
can be real
Yes.
not
People
nice
are
on
mean.
Goodreads.
People are
They
so
are.
mean on
They
Goodreads.
are. Sometimes I'll read through the reviews, and not every time does it kind of like thwart me from reading a book, but it definitely gives me pause sometimes where I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's how these people feel? Wow, that is complex.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that just put 1 stars, and you can tell they didn't read the book. Like, they'll even be like, I'm giving this 1 star because this author didn't deserve to be popular. It's like,
Ugh,
bro, get a
that's so
life.
messed up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like, get a life. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's
Find something
crazy.
better to do with your time.
Yeah, honestly.
Ugh, people.
Yikes. Yeah. But, you know, I was and the book that I'm about to talk about, too, has a decent rating. And I think with sequels, like, the ratings go up, which makes sense because the people who are reading them liked the first books. And so,
Yeah.
obviously, the rating should go up if they like the series. And so I think that helps, too, with books like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is your next book?
So glad you asked. I've already talked about it before, but I'm so excited for this book that I can't wait for it. And I'm definitely going to be reading it the second it comes out. It is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune, who I'm so mad. He is coming to my town later on in the year after I move away from the town that I currently live in. And I'm so
Man.
frustrated that I can't go because I'd love to meet him. I've read a lot of his books and they're all really good. But this is the sequel to House in the Cerulean Sea, which was a very popular book. I think in 2020 it came out, or maybe 2021. It's a fantastic book. Very much a cozy kind of romance. It's a little bit of a fantasy, but more like an urban fantasy, but very much romance. And it's a queer romance between Arthur and Linus. In the first book, Linus is a caseworker in the Department of Charge of Magical Youth, and he goes to visit Arthur, who is a foster parent for a bunch of magical children, including the literal spawn of Satan. That is one of the kids that works or that is at the orphanage, and so they kind of have a romance from that. And I'll leave it there for those who want to read the first book. But the second book is actually about Arthur's background and story, and kind of delves into that, while also him trying to gain guardianship of all the children that he takes care of, who, you know, have not been able to find parents and things like that. So it sounds very much cozy, but also emotional, and hopefully happy ending. And I did get an excerpt to read from NetGalley. I haven't read it yet, but it comes out September 10th, the same day that So Thirsty comes out, actually. So you could get both those books the same day. But it sounds really, really good. TJ Klune has not let me down. His books are very much, they are emotional, but they do kind of lift you up. And he's just really good at writing emotional stories that kind of help you get through a variety of things. And so I would highly recommend it. And I cannot wait to read it. It's going to be such a good book.
Man, that sounds so good. Both of those, but I need to put those on my TBR.
Yeah, but our TBRs are we just make our TBRs worse every time we have a podcast recording.
Right. They just always go up exponentially.
They do. Yeah, they do. Especially when we do episodes like this where we're like talking about anticipated books. Definitely pops open our TBR for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Is this our last books?
Yes.
All right. So Hailey, what's your last book?
So, ironically, this is the last book, and it's also called The Last One.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's so funny. So it's called The Last One by Rachel Howzell Hall. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The release date is December 3rd. And so it's about a main character whose name is Kai, who wakes up in an unknown land and accepts a stranger's offer to help. And the stranger potentially maybe turns into a love interest. Not really sure. Sounds like it's kind of like an enemies to lovers from the description, or maybe like a forced proximity type book where they like they are in the same vicinity and they have to work together or something. And that's one of my favorite tropes is kind of the forced proximity, and especially enemies to lovers. I've just now realized that most of the books on my anticipated books list that I've said so far are enemies to lovers or some form of enemies to lovers. So
hell yeah.
Clearly there's a theme.
Yeah.
So nothing's as it seems in the universe the main character steps into, and she's forced to find her way out. The genres are sci-fi fantasy, with a little bit of a hint of romance. So I don't know. It's kind of out of my usual like book zone. Definitely excited to put it on my TBR. Definitely excited to read it. It's 496 pages, so a little bit bigger of a book, but not too bad. Still a good read. And it does have a 3.94 star rating on Goodreads as well. So still up there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, sounds really good. I'm actually surprised. So I was noting all of my books are kind of front loaded to like July, August, September. And I could not find a book that I was like super, like I really couldn't find that many books that came out in December. And I was kind of like, what is up with that? And I don't know if books just don't come out in December because it's a busy time, but it's hard to find books that come out in December, I think.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that for the last part of this year, the books are kind of hard to... It was hard for me to make my list because most of the books that were on a lot of the like articles and lists that I was looking through, like 2024 most anticipated, or like books you should read in 2024 that are released or whatever, most of them came out like between February and like May of this year. So I don't know if that's just like a hot time to be publishing books or releasing them or whatever, but yeah, really hard to find stuff for like the fall winter time, which I'm like, that is peak reading for me.
Yeah,
like,
it is. Like,
so
I love fall and winter reading is unmatched for sure.
It is. It's so cozy, and there's truly nothing better than like being curled up with a good book next to a fire, or like with some hot chocolate or some cider. Like, I'm just saying.
So true. That's so true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
Yeah. I'm excited. This book comes out December 3rd. It's called The Last One by Rachel Howzell Hall.
Yay.
Yeah. What's your last book?
So my last book is one that I actually do have an arc for. I just got approved for it like 2 days ago, and I'm really excited because I think it's going to be a super fun book. It's called Hot Singles in Your Area, which makes you think it's a romance book. It's not. It's very much a horror book, and it's written by Jordan. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting cover too. It's by Jordan Shiveley, and the very snippet summary is a blistering body horror following two imperfect strangers ensnared by a sinister media powerhouse. And so it's basically I think a rotating narrative between Noah, who has a very terrible job, and he wants a new one, so he ends up going into a new job that he doesn't even know what he's signing up for. And then the other main character, who I think is pronounced Malachi, is living alone in a city of silence. And he or she is, she interacts with some random person in the town that's empty and is looking for her lost love. And so they kind of mix together in some unique fashion. It's a very short book. It's only 144 pages, and it is expected to come out on November 12th. and it seems really, really fun. And I'm a big fan of body horror, which sounds like a weird thing to say that I'm a big fan of, but it's always fun to read, I guess. Body horror books. And I think it's gonna be really fun. It kind of reminds me of Fallout a little bit because the cover is like a sardine can. When you open it up, there's a bunch of eyeballs in it, which there's a very specific place in Fallout 4 where basically that's happening. Spoilers, I guess, for Fallout 4. But that's what I think of when I think of the cover. And I'm really excited to read the arc. It's definitely going to be one that I'm looking forward to. Their ratings are a little low on Goodreads, I'll admit. It's a 2.9 on Goodreads right now, but there's only 10 ratings. Oh, wow. And so I think it's just a little too early for us to be able to compare. But, I love a good short horror novel, and in the winter, sometimes it's pretty fun to read it that way. So,
yeah, I think it sounds like a really good book. I mean, as someone who's not into horror books or that sort of thing, I do watch horror movies, but I'm not a big horror book fan. Sounds really good. So, yeah, I'm excited. And I hope that more people get reviewing it so it gets better ratings on Goodreads and gets more popular, because I feel like that's how people get their books out there, is through more reviews, good reviews. So.
Yeah, and it's kind of I don't really, because when we get NetGalley reviews, I don't usually post my reviews on Goodreads.
Yeah, me either.
Because I don't know, I'm not a gigantic fan of Goodreads besides keeping track of my TBR, but I might put my review on Goodreads for this one just to help it. Assuming that I give it more than 2.9 stars. I guess I could really hate it, and then I probably just won't put it on Goodreads. But
no, I hope it's still good. I've read some very not good books that had excellent ratings on Goodreads, and I've read some very good books that have had terrible ratings on Goodreads.
That is so true.
So,
you really never know.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah, Goodreads is kind of interesting. I actually try not to give the rating too much, because like really popular authors tend to get higher ratings even though they may not deserve it, and vice versa. So
I agree.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I think we have made a great TBR of what's coming out the rest of the year. So in December, I'm sure we're going to be talking about multiples of these books.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I can't believe we're halfway done with the year already.
I know. It's wild. Time is literally flying.
So fast. Yeah. But that's good, Yeah. Helps us get through the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love having things to look forward to. That definitely makes it easier.
That's so true.
And books help. Books, they're really out there saving lives. So
they are. Yeah, they absolutely are. All right. Well, so those are what we're looking forward to reading. Those 10 books are what we're looking forward to reading for the rest of the year. If you have a book that you want to mention that's coming out at the later half of 2024, you can, guess what? You can email us at booksandthebeespod@gmail.com. You can also Instagram us at booksandthepeaspod. Is that what you say? You say Instagram us? Is that what the kids are saying these days?
DM
comment. Us. Yeah.
Comment on our posts, like our posts, share them. Yeah. DM us. We'll respond.
We will respond.
I haven't gotten I don't think I've gotten a DM, at least from like not my own account. But if you are listening to this and you do DM us, feel free. I'll respond.
Yeah, we'd love to interact with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you can find our Instagram and our email in the show notes as well. And if you really like this podcast, we are now almost to the halfway point of the year, or our year, I guess, of podcasting. If you like this and listen to every episode, for one, thank you so much. And two, if you feel so kind, give us a review on your podcast listening app, because it really does help us grow our audience. Our download numbers are increasing slightly every kind of, month, I would say. So we're trending onward and upward, but it really does help to give us a review. So whatever podcast app you're listening to, please give us a rating to help boost us up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I also always have to give a thank you to the American Indie for the use of their song Rendezvous, because it is a bop. I love it. And they're always doing good stuff over on Spotify, so go check them out.
Yes. Thank you, Rendezvous. Thank you, American Indie.
Thank you, American Indie. We appreciate you. Hopefully you're a good reader. Hopefully you read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What books do you read?
We should try to reach out to them and see if they'll
We
come on the
should.
podcast.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
What books do they like?
Yeah,
do they
maybe
read
I'll-
books?
Maybe I'll reach out to them. I think I follow their TikTok, so maybe I can like comment or something.
Yeah, we use your music for our podcast.
Yeah.
Please.
Come on.
Do you read?
Cool. Yeah, do you read? Awesome. Well, Hailey, is there anything else you want to mention?
No.
Okay.
So.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this literary journey as much as we did. If you're buzzing with excitement, don't forget to subscribe, email us, and leave a high five or a review on your podcast listening app. Until next time, happy reading, and may your shelves be filled with tales as enchanting as a blooming garden. Keep the buzz alive, and we'll catch you in the next chapter. Bye for now.
Bye.